Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Friday morning. A lot of college basketball yesterday, and I have to say our local teams were bad, badder, baddest, worse, worser, worsest. Not good, not good, not good. Cougars get knocked out convincingly by Texas Tech. Utah gets knocked out convincingly by Colorado. And the Aggies, well, it was a struggle, but they were playing a team that wasn't nearly as good as Utah and BYU were facing. Their opponent was Fresno State, a 20-loss team. And the Aggies needed overtime, but they got it done. They got the win. So they're on to the semifinals to play San Diego State. Such a familiar matchup. Not in the conference final this time, but in the semifinal. And so we got that coming up tonight. We will get to all of those games. We've got post-game reaction from both the Aggies and the Aztecs as they look forward to playing each other. San Diego State handled UNLV on Vegas' home court. I know it sounds like a thing, and it was a thing in the early days of the Mountain West. I think UNLV was in the conference final like 7 times in the first 11 years, and the coaches are whining nonstop. But just about the time that BYU and Utah left the league, Vegas basketball took a big drop, and they've only been in, I think 2013 was the last time they were in a conference final. So it's not really a thing anymore. Their home court is useless to them in that conference tournament. San Diego State makes themselves at home in that they've been to a conference final 13 times in 15 years. Can the Aggies deny them a berth in the Mountain West Conference tournament title game? I think this game's mostly just for fun. You know, these teams win at home, lose on the road, that kind of stuff. So now you get a third meeting in a neutral court, settle some bragging rights. But I think both these teams are well into the tournament, and they'll probably be seated somewhere between 5th and 7th is how I think it'll work out. The other teams, the Utes and the Cougars, they just didn't have it. They weren't there. The Utes gave up a 13-0 run. Now, they did get back in the game and actually briefly take a lead with a 15-0 run, but the second half was all Colorado. Buffs were up by 3, and they stretched that league to double digits. And the Utes tried to hang around. They'd get it down to 5. It'd go up to 10, that kind of stuff. And then they kind of let go of the rope at the end of the game. So their season is finished at 19-14. The Cougars, well, they don't have to play Houston. There's that. Leave that to Texas Tech. And BYU will come back and regroup. And those tournaments will continue on, presumably with Houston winning the Big 12. We'll see how that plays out. And the Pac-12 is all chalk. The top 4 seeds won. So they're all through, and they'll sort that out. I think Colorado's in the NCAA tournament now, and the Pac-12 will get a third bid. If they beat Washington State tonight, then I'm sure they're in, but I think they're in already. So while basketball hits the pause button here, we're going to switch and talk a little football out of the gate here this morning. Both BYU and Utah continuing their spring practices. We're going to start at BYU with Kelly Poppinga, assistant coach.
Kelly, just wanted to ask you overall how you feel about your defensive end so far in the spring.
Really good. I think we're building great depth. Batty, Mangelson, Logan Latui, Isaiah Bagna have all looked great. Just, I think, building on what we did this last season, especially Logan Latui. He's really stood out to me, just the way that he just looks healthy. He was coming off a knee injury, and he just looks more explosive, more twitchy. He's like having another coach out there. He's been great. And then even Isaiah Bagna from last year, the level he played at, I think he's upped his level. The competition, I mean, there's 4 guys in there that have a lot of playing time, and those guys all want to play. And so it's good to have that depth. And so now we got to find a way to get all 4 of them out there and playing. But it's been good. And then Bodie Schoonover, I think, is kind of solidified himself as the 5th guy. He's done a really good job too as well. And there's some really good young talent as well. Ephraim Asiata's come in and done some great things. And then Vil Poha coming off his mission, same thing. So, I mean, I feel really good with the depth that we have. And then there's a bunch of other guys too that I haven't even mentioned. Ice Mo is still competing. And so, yeah, it's fun to see that group. It feels more like, some groups that I've had in the past with the depth that we have. So it's good. It's in a good spot.
With Ephraim, how ready is he to kind of contribute coming right now?
Mentally, he's super smart. He picks up things really, really quick. The physical part, just getting him big, getting him strong. But, man, athletically, I mean, he's as athletic as anybody that we have on the defense as far as just the things that he can do. The multiplicity of things that we can do with him is going to be fun. But he's got to get bigger, so he's got to gain probably another 20 pounds, which I think is very doable before the season. But he's been very impressive the first 6 practices.
You've talked with us on the radio about the fact that the only 2 guys that played as freshmen for you were Kyle Van Noy and Fred Warner. Does he have that type of capability?
Yeah, definitely. If he can get his size and his strength up, especially as smart as he is, how much we put on him in the first 6 practices, and he's been able to pick up on it and do good. It's been impressive. So.
What's your spring ball approach with guys like Batty and Bagna who have played a lot of football?
Yeah, it's just refining the technique and fundamentals. There's things that Batty still needs to work on, and Blake both. Really all those top 4 guys that I was talking about. But honestly, for me, it's keeping them. It's like keeping a fine-tuned machine, making sure we don't want to go backward at all. We want to make sure we're continuing to progress. And so there's limited reps in team, but. All the indie, and they will get reps in team, but it's just making sure that there's 2 or 3 things that we're focusing on to make sure that they improve on what we did in the last season.
They were 2 guys that were considering going to the NFL last year. What were the conversations like as they were making that decision from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with Batty, it was more of just, I think, getting feedback from the NFL, and there's some people telling him to come, some people telling him to stay, but I think ultimately what he saw was just another opportunity to grow and develop and just rise his stock. So I think he's going to do that, especially the offseason he's had. I've been impressed with what he's done, and he's changed his body a little bit. He's gotten a little bigger. He's leaned out, which is always a good sign. So we'll see how it goes for him.
With a guy like Jack Kelly, has he worked mostly with the linebackers? Have you worked with
he's doing a little bit of both. He's, I think at Weber he was great off of the edge and played stack backer as well. And so he's going to do a little bit of everything for us.
On the special team side, what's the latest on the battle to be Ryan Rico's replacement?
Yeah, really excited about the 2 guys we have, and it's been, I think, up to this point, a pretty even battle between Landon, Rico, and then Sam Van de Heer. And they both have different strengths. Sam has his strengths and Landon has his strengths, but it's going to be a great competition. And Dalton has done a really good job at long snapping. Ken and Skidmore will come in the spring or in the summertime to compete for that. But Dalton's stepped up and done really good. And then Will's been super consistent at field goals, and I feel really good with Matthias and Jordan, both as the backups to him. So I feel really good about our kicking game right now.
There's BYU assistant coach Kelly Poppinga with the media. Now here's the Utes defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley.
Obviously, you have some guys to replace. With guys going on to the NFL, other places. What's kind of your focus right now going into spring?
Creating depth. Some positions have great depth. Some positions we've got new faces, safety position, corner position. So really the secondary, the back end right now is the strong focus of finding guys, and we've got really good bodies there, good athleticism. So this is one of those springs, at least in the secondary, it's a lot more about teaching and kind of finding the right guys to give the reps to. You're going to get a certain amount of guys ready, and so that's the early job of us coaches, to find those guys and make sure we're feeding them the reps.
Kyle said yesterday that Keenan kind of was one of the standouts from at least some of the new guys came out. Are you seeing that, or what has allowed him to maybe be a standout?
Yeah, well, Kennan's a guy that's experienced a lot of college football, has a ton of reps under his belt, and some good college football at that. So for him, it's just learning our scheme and our terminology. Communication is a big factor from corner to safety, just communication across the board. But his experience in just technique and having a ton of reps under his belt is the reason why kind of he's in that position. And if you're going to go get a guy from a transfer portal, it's usually that they're going to come in and be able to compete right away. So he's taking coaching well, and we're fired up for him.
Cole Bishop was a great player for a number of reasons. One reason doesn't really get talked about is vocal leadership and just being a quarterback of the back end. What is that sort of process in developing somebody to become that sort of vocal leader?
Well, that type of vocal leadership comes with confidence. Confidence comes from reps, right? And so for a lot of these guys, knowing how to align is different than knowing what your assignment is, how your assignment affects others, and a part of that assignment can be you communicating with another person and letting them know what you're doing so they know what they're doing. We put a lot of responsibility on the strong safety and the linebackers to communicate pretty much everything to everybody, and Cole and Sione were very good with that, and because they were confident. So, the amount of accumulated reps will end up giving kids confidence. We need to make sure we find a good balance between install and letting guys play, right? And how much can they pick up? How quickly can they pick it up in this day and age of transfer portal and as much new bodies as you get from year to year? You may have to scale down what you install in a season, and so you allow your kids to play and make sure it's not too much. They've got school to worry about. They've got a lot of different things. It's not professional football, although with NIL they are getting paid. It's some players are, but it's a different deal. You got to know how much you can put on their plate.
With the change to the Big 12, is there anything that, as a defense, that you feel like you have to change schematically, or is it you kind of stick with the same thing and just kind of go into it week by week?
Well, that's what we're in the process of right now. We're about halfway through kind of scouting our Big 12 opponents, and a lot of it is very similar to what we've seen. Iowa State so far has been one of those programs that presented a lot more 12 personnel, but then you've got coaching changes there. So right now we're trying to get an early beat on who we're going to be playing the front half of the season, and the back half of the season usually that's going to take care of itself with the film that you see from the first part. So
what makes Teo Johnson a good fit at safety?
Speed. He's got really good speed over the top. He's got great ball skills. He provides we haven't necessarily had that over the top free safety in a minute since maybe Julian Blackman. Cole and Sione were very good safeties, could play on the back end, but Teo, just with his ability to cover ground, is really pleasant to see back there. Even in day one, had a nice interception getting over the top. But ball skills and speed, his athleticism is going to prove to be very beneficial for us.
You've got an interesting defensive unit overall with some veterans and then a lot of young guys, inexperienced guys. How nice is that to have those veterans and then to be able to feed the young guys to develop that depth?
Well, that's what leadership is, and that's what you're hoping from your leadership. Guys, four types of people in your program. You got your cynics that you want to kind of probably get out of the program. They've always got something wrong. Always think that they've got the answer. Then you've got your compliant. They're just showing up, doing everything they're asked to do, but nothing extra. Then you've got your committed players, and you want those. Those are the guys that stay extra, do all the extra things. And then what we ask our leaders to do is be compelling. Don't just be committed. Bring others with you. Bring others along, and that's what we've had, in the past and currently. Just guys that the veterans. They don't see the younger group as competition. They see it as, hey, you're my teammate. Come in, let me help, let me teach you, let me bring you along, and if may the best man win. So that's what we're asking of our leaders, is to be compelling and bring the others along.
With the Big 12 schedule coming up right in the fall, how much expectation raising do you feel like you have to do to your group, if at all?
None. It's about us right now and about getting better. It's all about game one. And you go from game to game, and I think if you look beyond that, you're doing yourself a disservice. But we got to focus on our weaknesses right now and continue to strengthen where we feel like we're doing things right. But that's what spring and fall camp is for, and we got a long way to go until that season starts. But no one puts more pressure on ourselves than we do.
You've got a lot of depth at defensive end. What's kind of gone into that, and what are you seeing from that group that gives you some?
Well, what's gone into it is Coach Powell doing a heck of a job recruiting, and that's what he has always done a great job of, is recruiting and developing these kids. We've got, some younger guys that when they first came to the program, said, okay, we got to spend some time developing you, putting some weight on. Kai O'Connor's one of those guys that even day one, you're seeing the confidence he has now with some added weight. And Chase Kennedy, these guys that came in that maybe were a bit undersized have now put on some weight. Jonah Lea'ea. And so we're excited to see those guys compete, and that's what it is right now in spring for those guys. It's competition. And when you've got good depth and you've recruited well, that bodes well for the room because no one feels their job is safe.
There's Utah defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley. When we come back, the Cougars lament the end of the Big 12 tournament run. We'll hear from Mark Pope, Spencer Johnson, and Jackson Robinson next. Stay with us. Good morning. It's DJ and PK, proudly presented by Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer for 18 years in a row. Time to hear from the Cougars as they lose in the in the Big 12. I got UC Santa Barbara on the brain. And they lose in the Big 12 tournament quarterfinals to Texas Tech. After the game, here's Mark Pope, Jackson Robinson, and Spencer Johnson.
Ton of credit to Texas Tech. They played great tonight. I thought they were really focused. I thought they were completely dialed in. I thought that they, it's been incredible to watch them make an adjustment with the way they play and how they play, losing such a dominant force inside like they have, and they've reinvented themselves in a really spectacular way, and I thought they were terrific tonight. We were disappointed with how things went. Certainly disappointed with the outcome. Sometimes you're out on the court and it feels like it's so hard to make progress. And there were a number of statistical reasons for that. But it was a really frustrating night for us. Morning.
Okay, please remember to raise your hand if you have a question. You can get a wireless mic to you. We ask that you identify yourself as well as your affiliation.
Blair Kirchhoff with the Kansas City Star. Jackson, you guys got off to such a great start yesterday, and then today just the opposite. What contributed to the slower start today?
That's just how the game works. We don't get to choose when we make shots and when we don't, but what matters is if we're going to come out there and fight. And I felt like by the time we decided to put up that fight, it was too late.
Go ahead, sir.
Darnell Dixon, Daily Herald. Mark, when this team doesn't make shots, is there a tendency to kind of let other parts of the game lose focus, like maybe defense or rebounding? And if that's the case, how did you manage to get them maybe to try to get away from that?
Yeah, it's sometimes you're climbing uphill a little bit, and like I said, credit Texas Tech a lot. Their speed and the explosiveness that they cut with over and over and over again, and their ability to get downhill and finish, or they kind of hit us from the three-point line from the dunker spot early, and so a ton of credit goes for them. But for sure, sometimes in the game you're fighting an uphill battle, and things start to disintegrate a little bit. And our team has been really, really, really resilient. That's actually the standard we have, and it's what we expect, and it's how we perform most often. It was a struggle all night long tonight. It was a struggle for us all night long, and the guys hung in there. There were a few moments where it felt like we barely, got over the edge, and we were the aggressor. But for the vast majority of the night, we were on our heels offensively and defensively tonight.
Front row over here on the left.
Jay Drew, Deseret News. Spencer, what did you think of you guys' energy from the tip? It seemed like Texas Tech just had a little bit more want to, or energy, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, that's something we talked about just barely as a team. They came out really aggressive. We came out a little bit flat. And that was maybe the frustrating part, was we just didn't set the tone early in the game like we should have, and like Coach said, just trying to play catch-up the whole time.
We're going to go over to the right.
Yeah, Blair Kirchhoff with the KC Star again. Mark, I got a couple of Kansas City-centric questions for you. Did Andy Reid pay a visit to you guys today?
No, I haven't seen Coach.
Okay. The other thing is, I just wondered about your first Big 12 tournament experience, just the overall experience of Kansas City for you.
It's an incredible venue. We're so grateful to be here. We're so grateful to be a part of this league. Even on nights like this, right? We're still just full of gratitude for the opportunity to be here and excited to learn and be pushed and challenged and grow. And this league certainly does that, and it certainly gave us the opportunity today. And so we're really excited to be a part of this in the coming years.
Okay, we're on the front row on the right.
Sean Walker from KSL in Salt Lake. Spence, you led the team in rebounding tonight. You've done that a couple times this year, but what made rebounding against this Texas Tech team so difficult, and what can you maybe learn from that? Because this is probably not going to be your guys' last game this season.
Yeah, their guards did a really good job of coming down and rebounding down, and one thing we can really learn from that is we actually have to get a hit, right? And I think a lot of us got caught just ball watching. We'd watch the shot go up, and we wouldn't hit our guy, and they would come in and hit us first, and that really burned us, man. So that's something we can learn, is we gotta set the tone by actually hitting our guy and keeping him off the glass, and yeah.
Okay, let's go back here to the second row on the right.
Darnell Dixon, Daily Herald. Jackson, this team has put himself in a position to play in the NCAA tournament. You've got a couple of days before Selection Sunday, and Coach has said this is a player-centric team, player-led team. What are you guys going to be focusing on over the next few days to get ready for the tournament?
This loss, it obviously hurts, but like you said, we have the tournament coming up, so we have to move on. We'll digest, the film, stuff like that, look over it, but essentially we just got to move on to the next game and focus on what's ahead. We got bigger goals, so that's what matters.
Let's go in the front row on the left here.
Yeah, two questions. Mark, when you made the 15-0 run, you didn't have Jackson coming out of that timeout on the floor. Is that just your rotations, or why wasn't he out there?
Just trying to save a foul. He had 4 fouls, and we had a defensive possession, so we thought we could maybe milk just one possession on the defensive end and keep him alive in the game.
And then with Allie not playing in the second half, was that related at all to his fasting, or was it an injury?
No, he just had an ankle that flared up, so he wasn't available the second half.
We've got a question over here on the right, about midway back.
Greg Eklund for AP Broadcast for Coach. In the next few days, how much do you get caught up in projections before Selection Sunday?
I think we'll probably spend some time doing that, but mostly we just want to prepare to play great. And this team has been exceptional all year long in terms of competing, and it's been exceptional in terms of responding to setbacks. And we got the best part of this whole season staring us right in the face, and I think we can't wait to get to it. And I think we're grateful for the extra couple of days to prepare, and it's so that's a beautiful thing. So all the projections, fortunately we're in a spot where we don't feel a lot of stress. We're just excited about playing as good as we can and continuing to improve.
Got time for a couple more questions. Let's go to the front row here, over here on the left.
Spencer, Walton on Texas Tech said something about they were turned up because you guys were excited to see them or looking forward to playing them. Did you notice that energy from them on the court, and do you remember what you guys might have said?
I'm sure he was excited just because it's a tournament game. It was their first game of the tournament, and they beat us last time we played them, so I'm sure he was excited for that, and we were excited as well. Unfortunately, they just came out with more energy than we did.
There are the Cougars after they get knocked out of the Big 12 tournament. When we come back to the Mountain West tournament, we'll hear from the Aggies and Aztecs as they prep for their semifinal game today. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. A reminder, 1 in 10 Utah kids face hunger, but you can feed Utah by leaving a bag of non-perishable food donations on your doorstep by 9 a.m. on Saturday, March 16th. Help the Utah Food Bank, Macy's Grocery, and Lynn's fight hunger statewide. Learn more at utahfoodbank.org/feedutah. All right, Utah State beats Fresno State in overtime. And the Aztecs take down UNLV in overtime. Now they meet in the semifinals. Here's San Diego State after the game.
In the Mountain West, every game is like this, every one. And it's not a surprise that this one went down to the wire. Kevin's done an incredible job with this year's UNLV team. They are really good. And the key to the game was rebounding. And we took a major step forward on that when the Boone brother didn't play, because he is a sensational rebounder. And when I look at the stats at the end of the day, we out-rebounded them 50-31. We had 25 offensive rebounds. That was the key to the game. That was the key we put up in the locker room, and I thought that was the key to the game. Both teams played good defense. Two sensational performances, one by Deaton Thomas and one by Jaden Ledee, and sometimes coaching's easy. I ran the last play, give it to your best player and let him make a play, and that's what Jaden did at the elbow sweep, made a big basket at the end, and we found a way to hang on for a victory. So proud of our guys, proud that we're playing in another semifinal game in the Mountain West tournament.
Thank you, Coach. Let's take questions for the student athletes first, and then we'll come back to Coach.
Braden Nurse with the Mountain West. Jaden, take me through that last play and what's going through your mind, especially also with the free throws, given the way they've been falling for you all day.
Just staying the course. I mean, with the free throws, it says I went 11 for 18, so I knew I was going to make more than I missed. And just that play, we ain't ran it in a minute. So, I mean, my teammates had ultimate confidence in me, coach had ultimate confidence in me, so I just got to my spot and shot a shot I shot a million times.
What's going through you guys' mind when Deaton gets that shot off and the relief that you had when it didn't go in?
We're excited. It's March, so wins are going to be ugly, but it's all that matters that we get the win, and now we get to focus on the next game.
Go ahead.
Darian, you had that buzzer beater shot in the halftime. What were the emotions going into the locker room to bring any kind of momentum swing?
Finally, I couldn't buy a basket. I missed a lot of layups. As a team, we missed a lot of layups. I missed a lot of shots. So that was just great momentum. We talked about it going in the half. We were kind of down, and we talked about it as a team. Like that was something positive, and we just highlighted that, and we went out in the second half with great energy, and I mean it showed.
Right here.
Andre Hackberry in East Village Times. Darian, your game has kind of propelled lately in the last couple of weeks. You had 5 assists again today, 5 steals. What has worked for you so well?
I'm just being myself and having confidence in it. Coach has put me in the right spots to be successful, whether that's offensively or defensively, putting me more ball screens, me and Jaden working the pick and roll, and just being more active and, recognizing that. It's March, so you got to leave it out on the floor every game.
We're here to our right.
Chris Beering here with East Village Times. Jaden, what needs to change offensively to start the game?
I didn't think we did too bad starting the game. We put an emphasis on it. We got to start a little faster, just maybe having our blood and body going, and just getting ready to go. But I liked how we finished. So that's all that mattered today.
Go ahead.
Jaden, so Utah State coming up in the semifinal. Great Osabar obviously is probably going to be the physical force from Utah State, at least main focus wise. What would be your game plan offensively going into this?
I don't know. We got to go over it as a team. We haven't made it back to the hotel, so I don't know yet. Mm-hmm.
We're here.
Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. Jaden, just kind of following up on that, obviously you and Great Ospor had 2 really big matchups in the regular season. Obviously you as announced Player of the Year, you kind of looking forward to that matchup going up against him again?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a good game. I know they'll try to, game plan for me, game plan for the whole team. But we're gonna come with it tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Jaden, you got fouled 17 times tonight. Just how much of an emphasis did you guys have on getting to the free throw line, taking fouls, and how big was it that you got to get them in foul trouble late?
It was good. I feel like I probably get fouled. I get fouled probably every time I touch the ball. But those are 17 times they called it. So I'm just glad we, just capitalize on the free throws and capitalize on the opportunity when we get fouled.
Anything else for our student athletes? Okay, we'll dismiss them at this time. Thank you, man. We'll keep Coach for a few more minutes.
Yes,
Over here, Coach.
Ed Graney Review-Journal. What makes Didon so special?
He just plays with great pace. I mean, there's coaching where you can get a guy better, and there's just a kid that plays with great instincts. So whether it was his dad teaching him as he came up, he just has great instincts. He plays with pace. He knows when to go fast, when he goes slow. He hits the runner. And he hasn't even tapped into the three-point shot, which he can make. You know, when he starts shooting that with confidence behind ball screens, I mean, he was unstoppable tonight. And we doubled him. We switched on him. We switched size on him. And he just got to his spot. And he missed 2 shots at the end. I don't know if we kept him from making them, but he missed a couple shots that he made all game. And we were fortunate that happened.
Brian Shapiro, KSHP. Coach, I know 1 or 2 plays don't define this game, but you guys are down 8, 2 seconds left to go in the first half. They're trying to get a double-digit lead. How big was that? Get a steal, make a 3, and going into the locker room with some energy and something positive.
Yeah, I think we were 1 for 9 from 3 in the first half, and that was the only make from 3. So it was nice to see one go in. And I heard the coaches joking with the team that we finally got the lid off the basket. I mean, we shot 28% or something like that the first half again. That's what we shot last time we played here. But we made 11 threes. And so we couldn't get a 3 to go in with any regularity today, but that was a huge momentum changer. We scored a basket, and then we scored the last basket of the half, so we went on a little 5-0 run to end the half. And we tried to get our team uplifted by that. They seemed a little down at halftime, and we tried to say, come on, that's such a huge momentum change. And so we tried to get them fired up a little bit more. And it came from the coaches, to be honest with you, some of that. So we tried to get their energy up, that was such an important shot and that could turn the tide of a game. And maybe it did.
Coach, I'm sure you knew that this game was going to turn out something like this. Just what do you tell your team going in to kind of deal with a team that's trying to get their get back from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, rebound was a key, and when the other Boone didn't play, that was a huge momentum change. And he tried to warm up, but he is their offensive rebounder. He's the rebounding problem. And so they had a short man bench, and they had to play different lineups and different combinations. And I thought Kevin did a great job of not having a main cog in his offense, his best rebounder, in my opinion, for the whole game. And I thought he did a great job managing his team and overcoming that and having a chance to beat us on his home floor. And so that's hats off to UNLV, missing a really important player, and it's hats off for us to finding a way to finally get a close win. We've lost so many close games. And we finally got a close win, and it's a good time to do it, heading in to this tournament and heading into the NCAA tournament.
Let's go right here first.
Coach, Micah had a rough game out there offensively, 0 for 8 from the field. But despite that, at one point he was a plus 21 point differential. What are some ways that he helps the team win despite not scoring?
Well, that's how he's on the floor, because he guards at a high level, he rebounds. You know, I felt bad for Mike. He missed 2 free throws. We were up 2 at the end of the game. He missed them both. And so I just said, to be a really good basketball player, you have to have a short memory. So anything that happened today it's in the rearview mirror. Come out and make every shot you take next game, and shoot like you think you're going to. You know, it's important for a coach to give his team confidence, even when it doesn't seem like they deserve any. But Reese and Mike are going to make shots tomorrow. I'm convinced of it. They're too good at players. They're too good at shooters. And I think the ocean will open up tomorrow. It'll look like the size of the ocean, the rim. We're making shots tomorrow.
We're here.
Jack Johnson from the Utah Statesman. You guys have a lot more playoff experience than Utah State. You've been to the semifinals 19 times compared to their 5. How are you going to use that playoff experience going into a game against the number 1 seed?
Well, it's not really Utah State. It's Osibor and Brown have played in the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row. They've been to the conference championship of their league. So there's Utah State playoff experience, and there's the playoff experience their players have. And so they've got guys that have played important games in March, and I think they'll be ready for their opportunity, and so will we.
Go ahead,
Coach, can you take me through what you told the team after Dean Thomas hit that spin move layup at the end of regulation to tie the game?
Just that every coach would tell his team, we got this. We're going to win the game. Be positive. Don't let that distract you. Come out with great energy, and let's win the game. And that's every coach in the country is going to give a pep talk. You're not going to sit there and go, wow, we made a mistake doing this, or we screwed this up. You're just going to turn the positive to a positive energy. That's all you can do. Because if you've got negative energy, you're never going to win. So we had to believe we were going to win. We had to sell that to the kids, and they had to believe it, or we had no chance to win.
1 or 2 more questions. Go ahead.
Dutch, you called timeout with 2.7 seconds left. I'm assuming you were going to foul. And you didn't get it done?
Yeah, I just told him 2.7, we have to be real careful because with that amount of time, they're probably going to catch to a shot. So we were real cautious about fouling at that point because if there's 8 seconds they had to dribble up the floor, we'd have fouled for sure. But at 2.7, I didn't want to have a guy catching the ball into a shot, and we grabbed him. So we wanted to put 2 guys on D-Don, and that worked out really well. He got a wide open shot to end the game. So coaching sometimes is overrated. We had a guy in front of him and behind him, and I looked up, and both guys were behind him. So we were fortunate he missed a shot. We were guarding the right guy, but we didn't do what we needed to do to prevent a shot by him.
And coming back to win this after losing so many of these types of games all season, what does it do for your team?
I just told him this is a good time to start this. It's March, it's tournament time. This is a good time to start winning close games. So everything in the past is in the past. All we control is the future. And now we've got one that we've won a close game. Let's go get another one and another one. And let's keep this going.
Right here.
Coach, UNLV went to a zone late in the game, similar to Boise on Friday. You know, even though you guys missed some shots in the beginning of it, it looked like they were good shots. Were you happy with the offense against the zone?
Yeah, I thought we played good against the zone. There was a set play I was trying to run late that we didn't get into, and I kind of talked to Lamont and Darion that they have to be the voice on the floor. They have to get us into the set. But, it's a set we got the layup on, a double ball screen where we get downhill and get a layup, and I tried to run it again, and good things happened when we ran that play, but we didn't get into it, and end up Lamont shot a tough jump shot, but that's the only thing I was mad about, that we didn't get into a play I wanted to run late.
Let's go one last question.
Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. Mentioning meeting Utah State in the playoffs. I think it's happened 4 times in the last 5 or 6 years. I think this will be the 5th time in the last 6 years. What's it been like playing Utah State so many times here in the Mountain West tournament, especially since you've, I think, 3 or 4 different coaches in that time as well you've faced with Utah State?
I don't remember one game other than Sam Merrill banging a 3 on us to win it. That's the thing I remember. That's the curse of coaching. You always remember the ones you lose. So I remember that shot, and what an epic game that was against our 30-2 team.
There are the Aztecs as they get ready for the Aggies. Now here's Utah State.
I thought it was a great, college basketball game. We knew Fresno State was going to come compete. Coach Hudson's teams, they play their butts off, and it's too bad because they've kind of been banged up and had a lot of injuries this year. But for that team to continue to fight, we knew it was going to be, it'd come down to the last 8 minutes of the game, and just like it did at their place. But, I felt like our aggressiveness, especially in the second half, was much better. We got some open looks in the first half, and we just didn't knock them down. The first 20 minutes of any tournament is the hardest. And they'd been on the court, they'd played, they were in a lot more rhythm, and you could tell that in the first half. With them, I think they made 5 threes in the first half, and we were like 0 for 8 or whatever. But, I thought in the second half, great, and, Javon got going in the first half and kept us in the game. We don't even come close to winning that game without Javon. But, and Fish, or Isaac Johnson, we call him Fish, but he made, some huge shots in that second half as well as Darius. And it kind of gave us just enough buffer. But every time we'd get up by 8, they kept scrapping back. And, they just, Isaiah Hill's a tremendous player, and Pope, they just got so many weapons in their athleticism. It's hard to keep them from the rim without fouling. But proud of our guys, when we had to get it done, just like we found a way all year, they keep finding ways to get it done.
Thank you, Coach. Start with the questions for the student athletes. Go ahead over here.
Braden Nurse with the Mountain West. Maybe a little closer than you would have liked tonight, but is that almost a good thing? This is the kind of game you're going to get the rest of the tournament.
Our group seems to like it close. I don't know why. It drives me crazy, but they like it close.
It's, as Coach said, it's the Mountain West. There's no teams in the Mountain West that you're like, oh, we're just going to come in and win. It's high-level basketball. So we tend to thrive in close games. And I'm happy for our team's resiliency and the way that we stick together in close games.
Yeah, there were 7 runs tonight of 7 or more points between the two teams, and you guys found the latest and greatest one. Just what went into that overtime period and what worked out for you?
It's just a testament to our whole season. We've been preparing for that, moments like that the whole season, close games and stuff, and just executing at the end of games. So I think that prepared us.
Go ahead.
Jack Johnson from the Utah Statesman. Great. Half your points were from free throws. How'd you keep on drawing those fouls?
Staying aggressive, being a physical play. If you play hard, the game will reward you. And today I felt like the game saw that I was just being aggressive, and I got some calls, so that's good.
And Javon, you really clutched up today. What do you think of your game today?
I think I played well, but I knew somebody had to come and pick it up because we were missing Mason today, so I decided to do that. And the coach has always been telling me the whole season, just be ready, so I was just ready.
Over here.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com. Danny, with Great and Darius playing basically the full games, how do you manage that load, especially this early in the tournament? And then Great, just kind of where did you also kind of get that extra level to be able to push forward?
That's what players do. They don't want to come out of the game. And we have media timeouts. We have plenty of timeouts. These guys have been, playing a lot of minutes all year. And, they're accustomed to it. You can see when they come out of the game, they're pissed at me. And that's what I want. But we got to have them on the floor. They draw so much attention. You can tell by, how many fouls Great drew tonight. And a lot of our offense is built to get it into there, to collapse teams and open stuff up for other guys.
I feel like we've been prepared for this whole year. During the summer, we practice really hard. I don't know if a lot of teams do that, but I know that because sprinkle teams in the summer, you're going to practice hard. So I feel like that prepares you for March. When close games and you need to be out there, we're ready.
Go ahead.
Sean Harrison with the Herald-Journal. Javon, can you just talk a little bit about being prepared? You mentioned you knew that Mason was going to be out, being prepared and coming off and giving that spark.
Yeah, just watching extra film, staying locked in, because I never know when I'm going to get in the game, but when I do, I just know when I get in, I got to make an impact. So I just extra film, extra shots and stuff, just always staying ready.
How old are you?
I just turned 22 today. My birthday's today.
Birthday buckets for Javon Jackson today.
Jason Walker with Cash Valley Daily. Just for both the players, just that overtime you just dominated, I think 17-5 in that overtime period. How'd you guys kind of lock in to just absolutely dominate in that overtime?
I feel like obviously you don't want to have close games, but we like them. We like when the stakes are high, So we knew if we got it to overtime, it was a 0-0 game. We got our jitters out the way. They're a really good team, and they played yesterday, so they had momentum going on. But at that point, okay, we'd already played a full game now. 0-0, go do what we do,
We just knew we had to go take it in overtime. We were just prepared. As soon as we seen it was going to 0-2, we was like, oh, yeah, we're finna go take this and dominate.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Okay, we'll let them go at this time. We'll keep Coach for a few
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Questions for the coach? Right here, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, just what has Fresno State done well against you guys these last couple times you've played them, just to make it a game that you have to grind out?
They play hard. They play hard. They're really athletic. It's a good team. And, they got really good guards that can create and get to the rim. And as soon as they draw two, they missed some shots tonight, too. I thought they did some really good job hitting guys in the pocket and skipping it backside. And luckily for us, they missed a couple of those. But their aggressiveness and their athleticism, it causes a lot of people problems.
How much of an emphasis was it to get to the free throw line tonight, draw a bunch of fouls, and how crucial was it that you were able to foul out a couple of them?
Yeah, that's our game plan every game. That's just the style that we play. And our players, that's kind of what we're built for, being aggressive and, really trying to, attack the paint to either draw fouls or get the ball to the rim and let guys play one-on-one. But it's been one of our strengths. We obviously missed some front ends, and we had chances to, I wouldn't say put them away, but we had a chance to make it a 7-point lead, and we'd miss the front end of a one-on-one. They'd come down and hit a three, and now all of a sudden it's a one-possession game. We're moving forward. We gotta clean it up at the free throw line.
Go ahead.
So you guys started out both halves, even overtime really well, but in the first and second half, you kind of had a mid-half drought. I guess what kind of went into those where you kind of let them back in both halves?
Yeah, they started making plays. We had some sloppy turnovers. I think it was the 12-minute mark to the 8-minute mark. That 4-minute chunk in the first half. We keep track of, we call them wars. There's 5 wars each half, each 4 minutes, and they outscored us by 10. We won the other 4 wars in that first half. And it was still, they were up by 1, I think, at half because of that 10-point, cushion they had in that 4-minute span. But a lot of it was just, we missed some open shots during that, but we had some careless turnovers and some defensive miscues.
Over here. Sean again from the Herald-Journal. Can you talk a little bit more about Javon? You mentioned the first half, but he had some big shots in the second half, and not only
in
points,
overtime.
but the rebound. He got some rebounds, got a couple of steals.
He did. I mean, he was 50-50 plays. He was all over. I think he was one that dove on and we called timeout, which was a huge play in the overtime. But, just proud of him. The Joker just steps up, man. Like every game, and I told him a couple weeks ago, every time he shoots, I feel like he's going to make it, and I really do. He's just got great touch, and he's just got to, when the moment's big, he's one of those guys that wants the ball.
Victor?
It seems like the team really turned on a switch in overtime. What were you telling him in the huddle before that?
Really, just the same thing. We got to play harder. When you're playing Fresno State, you have to match their energy and their toughness. And I think we jumped out to a 5-0 lead, I believe, in overtime. I think Javon may have hit the first three, and then I don't know if we got a pitch hit. We got 2 free throws or a layup. But that was huge to just kind of settle our guys, and then it really put the pressure on them. Anytime they missed, we could kind of run some clock and really make them guard. But I didn't tell them anything that I hadn't been telling them all game.
Is Mason, how hurt is he? Is he going to be available tomorrow? When did you make that decision with Mason?
I mean, right after pregame meal today, I met with him, and he didn't think he could go today. And so, he hasn't really practiced much all week. It's just kind of one of those. We'll see how he feels tomorrow. He's been getting a lot of treatment on it, but I don't expect him to play tomorrow, to be honest. I hope he does, but.
All right, Danny Sprinkle and the Aggies getting ready to face the Aztecs later today. We'll have more on that game coming up. Stay with us. What is trending? All the headlines are next.